What is happening, everybody? Been a minute, sorry about that. Been busy and a little lazy too lately. Dave Budke here, and I'm gonna start calling this the Budke Ball podcast. So, with that being said, I wanted to give you guys a Super Bowl preview today. My best read I feel on this game is I like the under. And some of the reasons why are both head coaches have defensive background, so they're going to emphasize that side of the ball, I feel. And McDonald, he is chewed up young QBs. He's got a great record against young quarterbacks in the league. Drake May, obviously the second youngest to make a Super Bowl. So there's a reason there for a low-scoring game. Vrabel is great at changing the picture post-snap. So that might make it a little tougher for Darnold to put up a bunch of points this game as well. And let's see, what else? We got both defensive lines, I believe, are some of the greatest strengths on these two teams. And both offensive lines are probably the weakest units on both of these teams. So I look for the defensive lines to dominate the offensive lines in this game, which is going to make it really tough for quarterbacks. They're going to have to find ways to make plays, and I believe those opportunities are going to be few, far, and in between. I would not be shocked to see a lot of sacks, maybe a couple picks, few fumbles. Even though the weather's going to be nice, I just feel like with the D lines being so strong, and both of them are deep. Both defensive lines have a lot of bodies, so I don't feel like fatigue is going to be a factor even late in the game for those defensive fronts against the offensive lines, which, like I said, I believe are the weakest units on both teams. So that's why the under to me is the strongest play. The over-under is set at 45.5 currently. So let's move on to QBs. So Drake May has been pretty, I'll say lackluster. I know he's played really tough defenses, and that's why it's a little tough to judge this completely and blame him completely for low scoring and maybe underwhelming performances compared to the regular season that he had, where we found out runner up in MVP voting the other night. But and even though Seattle's got an elite defense, I do expect, with the weather being good in Santa Clara, that he will come back up a little, have a little better game than the Denver game, most definitely. And then for Darnold, he's had a good playoffs. His best game against the Rams, probably the best game of his career, I would be, especially considering the circumstances, trip to go to the Super Bowl. So, but both of his performances, he didn't have to do much in the San Francisco game in the playoffs. The game was pretty much in hand the whole time. So I think because he had the divisional opponents and had familiarity, I don't think he will be as strong as he was in the first two playoff games he had. So I'm going a little zigzag theory on both of these quarterbacks. I feel like May will be slightly better than the Denver game because it was bad. I mean, that was definitely as bad as he's looked all year. And Darnold, he was so strong in the Rams game, I feel like he's going to come back down to earth a little. So I feel like that's going to make this game really tight. So let's see. Let's go to coaching edge. Coaching edge, you got to choose Vrabel and Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. No disrespect to Mike Macdonald and Clint Kubiak, who are both very, very good and up and coming, but you just have more experience from Vrabel and McDaniels, of course, with, I mean, he's gone to 7 Super Bowls as an offensive coordinator, and even more than that with just being on staff in New England and his long tenure there. And Vrabel, he's got experience as a player and as a coach now. So, I mean, he took Tennessee to the conference championship with Ryan Tannehill. So, it's not the Super Bowl, I guess, but he has been there as a player. So, he does have a lot of experience from that side. And we'll move to roster edge. I would go slightly Seattle. I think it's closer than most people think that it is. But Seattle's just a little younger, a little faster, a little more depth. Gives them the edge on special teams, which they've had throughout the playoffs. But both these teams, they're really close. They're both top 5 in scoring, defense, and offense. Both of them have 3 losses this season. Seattle's 3 losses were by a combined 9 points. They lost games by 4, 3, and 2, respectively. And New England lost 3 games also by 7, 7, and 4, so 18 combined points total. So these teams are, I think they're a lot closer than we want to admit. So I believe if these teams faced off 10 times, I would pick Seattle to win 6 out of those 10 games. And 4 of those 6 victories that I believe Seattle would have on them in those 10 games would be by single digits, probably 1 score, or, very right down to the end. Maybe 2 of them, they could beat the Patriots by 10 points or more. And for the other 4 for New England, I believe would win. I believe 3 of those would be close, single digit, 1 score games, and maybe 1 Darnold shits the bed and they win by 10 plus. So with all that being said, I will take the Seahawks to defeat the New England Patriots 19-17. And we'll get into a little bit of gambling now. If you want to put in that exacta, that's a Seattle 19, New England 17. That's a plus 20,000. So $10 wins you $2,000, or $100 wins you $20,000, obviously. So for this postseason, gambling wise against the spread, I have been not great. I've been picking winners, but I have not been picking against the spread great. I'm 5-7 against the spread and 8-4 picking outright winners. So good on the winners, not so good on picking how the game is exactly going to look and play out. But for this game, I've got a few fun prop bets for you guys. See if you like them. I've got a same game parlay with AJ Barner, anytime TD, and an alternate line of total points at 37.5. That runs plus 1194. So the reason I like AJ Barner to score a touchdown at any time this game is one of the weaker spots on New England's defense is linebackers covering in space. So you get Barner down in the red zone, big target. They're bracketing JSN. They're obviously looking at Kupp. So I feel like the linebackers not covering in space could lead to a big target like Barner to find the end zone on a catch, or he could even run a sneak potentially too. Barner's got 6 TDs this year, so I feel like that's a reasonable chance for him to get in the end zone, but still gives you some juice because he's not the most common thought, obviously, that would be Jackson Smith-Njigba, who has just been an absolute stud this year. But like I said, I feel like the Patriots want to take him away, bracket him, double coverage, whatever they got to do just to stop him. They don't want him to be the reason that they lose. So I like plus 7+ sacks in the game. That's sitting at plus 185. Feel like that's a good one. Total players to throw a pass. This is just always a fun one. Over 2.5. That's just plus 132. But you know these guys are looking to run some trick plays. There's all sorts of fun, imaginative, creative plays in these Super Bowls. There's nothing that you can wait for, nothing to hold back. So you might as well throw out the kitchen sink and put up a interesting play. So those are some of my little prop bets, side bets for the Super Bowl. Let me know what you guys like this Super Bowl. Appreciate you. Have a good one.